So hi, welcome to the Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with,
Russ from Shark Club.
and we're gonna ask some questions today about their new album, "Here Be Electric Joy." So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
Thanks. It's been cool. We haven't been seeking any, response from anybody else. We're just really excited to have it out and have new music out there because it's been a long while for us.
Very long. I know you guys were talking about this back when we interviewed you last year,
Yeah.
so it's crazy to see it out a year and a half later.
Yeah.
So, is there any meaning behind the album name or cover art?
Yeah. It's a funny story that we like to tell. This is years in the making. I think maybe 2017. Our band was playing a show at somebody's house in Delaware, and we'd probably already played. We were probably opening, and so everybody's kind of everywhere in the house. You're either watching the set, you're outside doing whatever, and our drummer David, who's the youngest person in our band, was in the kitchen because on the refrigerator they had like a bunch of those magnets with the words on them.
Mm-hmm.
So he's tinkering, and we're like, okay, David's occupied, like he's fine. This thing will be.
Yeah.
And so he's tinkering. And so finally he goes, oh my God. And he runs and he's looking for all of us. And again, we're scattered. He like runs outside and grabs me and finds whoever else. He's like, you guys have to see this. It's incredible. So he rushes us all over and he points at the refrigerator. He's like, look at this. And we're like, what? He goes, read what I made. And it said, here be electric joy. And we're like, what? He's like, isn't that an incredible like cacophony of words? Like, isn't that awesome?
Mm-hmm.
And we just laughed at him because we didn't know what he wanted us to say.
Yeah.
And it's like perfect. It's like, if you know our drummer David, that's like perfect. David, it's an example of the kind of person he is. And we brushed it off like, whatever, man. Like, here be electric joy. And we were kind of then poking fun at him, like, that'll be our next album title or whatever, sure. And so fast forward, 4 years later, we're genuinely trying to come up with a title for our upcoming album. And co-frontman Jake goes, hey guys, do you remember that time David did that thing? And he said, here be electric joy? I would honestly, seriously consider that name. And I agreed. And David kind of maybe didn't want us to name it that because he knew we were still poking fun at him.
Aww.
But we went with it because I think even though it has a silly backstory and makes us smile, I think it fits. Particularly, the last two words. You can make whatever definition you'd like. But we really like that story. It's kind of an inside joke in the making for like 4 years for us. So that's the story behind the name.
I love it.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's wholesome. And the cover art.
Oh, the cover art. I apologize. So David was making such a stink about his thing. I remember we all took a photo of it and we're like, whatever, man. And so when we finally decided to seriously go with that for an album title, we were searching through our phones, our archives for that original photo. And even though we know it exists, we couldn't find it. So I just went ahead and I kind of recreated it. And, there's other word magnets on there. And those are like little codes of like lyrics or people that helped us make the record. And so we made it our own. But dang, I wish I had that original picture. It was so funny.
Between everyone in the band, everyone that took a picture, not a single person could find it.
No, and
so
that's
upsetting.
a problem because from 2017, some people are like, I have a new phone. I think I've had two phones since then, and then
got lost in the cloud.
Yeah, it's lost in the cloud somewhere.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this album? I would assume it's across many years.
Yeah, and it's not like we were writing songs for 4 years and then said, let's go in and record. We've been actively trying to record for the last 4 or 5 years. It's just while we really love doing music, it's a hobby for us. We all are either in school or actually have careers. So it was just a matter of finding the time to be able to all meet up in a studio space and record. So that'd be like over the weekend. And then, this coming weekend doesn't work for me. I have to travel. I have a family thing. I have another thing. So I have a global pandemic.
Yeah.
That'll just build onto it. But we're always writing. This has taken so long that we'd actually written songs while we were recording, and we'd bump a song off the album and put that new song on.
Mm-hmm.
And so like this record's out and we're super excited about it, but we also have like about 20 other songs that we would like to record in some capacity and put out. So there's songs on this record that, like I said, are brand new. There are some that we would have released on our prior release.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good mix of everything. It's, like I said, 4 years in the making.
Yeah. So I know, like you mentioned, the whole reason why it took so long is the recording process and not being able to all find a time. Would you guys ever consider like one person at a time going in the studio and recording when each person has free time? Or do you guys prefer being in the studio together all at once?
Obviously, in a perfect world, you want everyone to be there, because I think we want it to be collaborative and everybody's got really good ideas. Even, if my bass player's there, but we're recording a guitar part, I would love his input. And it got to that point where not everybody could make it. So I would make a trip to Philadelphia and record. Our drummer would meet with our producer and record. But even my schedule and the producer's schedule sometimes wouldn't meet up and stuff like that. It just got really tricky and messy. I think the next time we do it, we're going to do the normal band thing and make sure we have like a week or two block where we can just all meet up and knock it out.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, good plan.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell us your favorite lyric off this record and the meaning behind it.
The favorite lyric.
Mm-hmm.
Holy gosh, I didn't anticipate that. I didn't anticipate that question.
Yeah.
Our questions have gotten better since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, right? Holy. While I'm looking up the Bandcamp with all the lyrics, I'll try and think of what my favorite song is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I really like the song Walk. I think that's really cool. So let me find a lyric from Walk.
Okay.
Okay, this lyric doesn't mean anything. But I'm sure it means something. But Jake wrote, "Red light, green light all around. You can't get out of this 2-star town." And so I like that just because, again, a little inside baseball. Our other songwriter, Jake, he never names his songs. It's very difficult for him to find names for his songs and so for a lot of time, these songs don't have any names. Mm-hmm. So it's up to us to come up with like our own placeholder names. And that opening line of red light, green light all around, it stuck out to us enough where we actually almost named the song Red Light, Green Light, which actually we kind of did, because it's walk and then we put the parentheses, which was a kind of, again, an inside joke for us.
Mm-hmm.
But I love hearing him sing it. I love hearing him say it. And I really can't tell you why, but this was a song that we've had for a long while and we were excited to have recorded. And I would say that lyric, even though it's small and kind of inconsequential, is quite nostalgic for me.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So how did the track list for the album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer? Did you just shuffle the track list and say that's good? What was the process like for that?
Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with track lists and sequencing and making sure everything's in its rightful place. I love an album with a really solid intro song and outro song. And I find myself writing intro songs like all the time. And so the first track on this is Cough Drops. And when I wrote it, I didn't know if it would be for this record or not, but it definitely had like intro song vibes for me, and the band agreed because it starts off slow and then the whole band comes in, and I think that's exciting to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And then for that outro track, we had another one lined up, but that was an example of a track that we kind of bumped out. It was one of Jake's songs, and he actually had come out and said, I think I've actually outgrown this song, which is crazy to think about because you're actively writing a record, but for us it took 4 years. Mm-hmm. And in that 4-year span, he said, that song's really, I don't feel anything that I wrote from back then.
Yeah.
So we were, of course, kudos to him for speaking up and saying that, even though we all thought it was a great song. And we were kind of shuffling around, finding something new. And we think that the song that we put there is a solid closer. Again, it is a Jake song. I think it's the one that we replaced that other one with, actually. So it ended up working out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole track listing and making sure things blended with each other. We all, and everyone in the band and our producer, we'd have very long Zoom meetings just talking about what goes where and how and why and when. So I hope, the thoughtfulness goes through to people.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. So what song off this record took the longest to write?
Oh, snap. You asked that one the last time, and I should have been prepared for an answer. You know what? I do have an answer. There's a track on here called Next Year that I remember took forever to write. Again, that's a Jake song. Mm-hmm. And Jake usually comes to the band with acoustic demos, which is exciting because we can all add our own bits and pieces to it and maybe change up the groove or whatever. And so I think I had come up with an initial version, and we were like, this is like, there's something there. So then I came up with like a second version. Mm-hmm. And we're like, yeah, maybe that's a step in the right direction. And everyone started collaborating, and we get like a little closer and closer. And then sometimes it'd be like, no, you have to go like 5 steps back.
Yeah.
We were sending the demos back and forth. I'm pretty sure there was like a Next Year version 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, you start thinking about how like, some of the best songs that you write come to you in like 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. So when you're overcomplicating it, you start second guessing yourself. So I think we kind of started from scratch like a handful of times with that song. But where it's at now, obviously we're really proud of it. But that one definitely took the longest to write.
Since you said like you started from scratch with that song for a couple of times, why did you guys keep on doing that? Because as you said, some of the best songs come to you in like 15 minutes. Did you really like believe in that song and think that it had the potential to be something really good?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think we started from scratch because like you had mentioned, the best songs come from 15 minutes. So like, why sit over like, is this the right chord progression? Is this the right lead part? When you can just wipe the slate clean, come to it when you're feeling a little bit more creative, and see if you can come up with something fresh on the spot. And again, there's 4 people in our band, including me. We want it to be collaborative, so everybody's input counts. And so that has its pros and cons, because there could also kind of be like a too many cooks in the kitchen sort of deal. So you're trying to get the approval from everybody, making sure everybody likes their parts and that they think it sounds like Shark Club and that it sounds like it belongs on this record. That's the hardest part about writing is, I think, editing yourself, at least for me. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I think it ended up working out for the best on that particular track.
Oh, yeah. So where was your headspace at while you guys are writing this album? I know we keep on saying it. It was over the course of 4 years, so I'm sure you felt a lot in those 4 years. Yeah, it's all over the place. I mean, there are some songs on there that I wrote before I graduated college, and now I'm like 3-4 years removed from graduating college, and there are songs on there about, life post-college. There's a song in there about like, I'm graduating college.
Yeah.
So the Headspace is all over. I mean, I can only speak on my behalf.
Mhm.
But again, we tried to find songs that there are great songs that didn't make this record that just didn't fit the flow or the energy that these other tracks had. I wish I could come up with a more specific answer for you there, Shane.
You're all good.
Yeah,
You keep on mentioning that you had like these other songs that were scrapped during the process. Did you record those songs? Like, do you have songs recorded, or is it just these?
Actually, I'd say yes. One of the other hiccups that we had while trying to record the album was that we were almost done, and then our producer called me one morning and said my hard drive explode. It didn't explode, but it broke. And it was unfixable, so we had to start from scratch, which ended up being it was pretty big news, but I think I handled it pretty good. Not to toot my own horn, No use crying over spilled milk is what I kept telling the guys, and I think our drummer was the most positive. He's like, this could be a blessing in disguise. Like, we're familiar with the songs. It'll be like a cinch to re-record them, and maybe we'll hear something that we'd want to add, which is exactly what ended up happening. So yeah, definitely in that first round of recording, there were a couple of songs that we would have recorded, but they're gone.
They don't exist anymore. There was no like cloud backup anywhere, and it's lost up there.
I gotta dig through my text and email archives. I'm sure we had mixes that we had shared with each other, but we know what songs we didn't keep, and we demo a lot and pretty extensively, so they're in our archives and they're not lost for us. We can go back to them, and if they fit on something in the future, we'll put it on there.
All right.
Okay, that's fair.
But like no secret B-sides to be released anytime soon.
Okay,
come on.
That was basically what my question was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, if you're in the studio and you're gonna record something, like, even if it doesn't fit, like, get it out there. Like, I'm not gonna be sitting on it. Like, I'd want it out there. I mean, it costs money to be in the studio too, so
yeah,
fair enough.
Don't want that to go to waste.
Exactly. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should they put it on in the dark with headphones on? Should they go in the car trip with some friends? Should they blast it at a party? What do you recommend?
That's a really good question. I want people to be comfortable, consume it whatever way they want. For me, I know I'm the type of person who likes to listen to a new album start to finish, whether that's in my room alone with the headphones on or driving in a car. That's my one thing that I'd say. I hope you listen to it start to finish, because I think that's the way that we wrote it and sequenced it so that you can enjoy it like that. So that'd be my only ground rule for listening to the record for the first time.
All right.
Start to finish. Perfect.
So this question should be super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Be Electric Joy.
No.
Cheap. Try again.
Redo.
I think it's fun. I think it's energetic, and I think it's crazy.
Crazy. Is that how many Z's are on that crazy?
It's less about the Z's and more about the secret A before the R. Crazy.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So is there a certain feeling or emotion you want this album to invoke in your listeners?
People will put us in, different sort of categories. Like, I think a word we hear a lot is emo. I think emo has a bit of a negative connotation toward it. I actually didn't like that word until I embarrassingly very recently realized that emo is short for emotional.
Wow.
Yeah, it took me a while, but
okay.
That means this music evokes emotion, which I'm like, well, isn't all music supposed to do that? I think that's pretty rad.
Yeah.
And so there might be like slow, somber, sad sounding songs, but I hope nobody feels that way when they listen. I hope if they hear something that they can relate to, that it makes them feel better. But like I said, I mentioned fun and energetic. I think there's some really cool songs that you can kind of like air punch to and dance to and listen to, get you pumped up. And I hope that's what people go back to this record for, and it makes them feel good and like they can do anything.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
So what band or artist influenced you thinking and hear the most on this album, if any?
Well, I'm gonna give you like a really probably an annoying answer. Is that okay?
That's
Do I have
fine.
your permission?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, when we first started our band, a lot of people would come to us and say like, you guys sound a lot like Modern Baseball. You guys sound a lot like the Front Bottoms. And that was a really big compliment for us because those were groups that we had grown up admiring and probably the reason why we started writing our own music. But the more people would start saying that, the kind of off-putting it was. Not that we ever were offended by anyone saying that, but we had a very clear intent to go into this album and say, we want people to come out and not say it sounds like this artist or this artist. We want people to say it sounds like Shark Club.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you that, whenever I write music or aim to write music, I always look back to bands like Yellow Card is a really big one for me, particular their like early 2010 releases. Those made a really big impact on me musically and sonically. You could throw Modern Baseball and stuff in there too if you'd like. Metallica for sure. But
Modern Baseball and Metallica. It's an interesting combo. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch, and I'm not the only songwriter in the band, and even then, like our drummer and bassist, they'll throw in their 2 cents, like I mentioned. But hopefully, like I said, people come away saying this sounds like like a Shark Club record should sound. So
That's a good answer. So, what was your favorite memory that you made while creating this record?
There's a lot of good ones. I think for some reason the one that comes to my mind right now, we recorded most of this at the Drexel Studios. Our drummer David went to Drexel, and so sometimes when we record, we kind of have like little studio parties. Like a bunch of his friends, who are also our friends, would come and sit in and listen to everything that we were doing, and they'd have lunch with us and chat it up. And I remember I was recording a guitar part and I wasn't getting it right, and it started to get really frustrating. And there was like a whole team of friends there who would like come up, they would see that I was getting frustrated and annoyed and like rubbing my head. And each of them, like at their own pace, would kind of come up to me and pat me on the back, like, hey, you got it. Like, you're doing good. And I thought that was really cool. I grew up in high school. I played football, and there was kind of a lot of that camaraderie type of thing, like holding each other up. And I wouldn't say that I didn't expect that coming from the music community, because it happens all the time and people are really nice. But I remember that making me feel good. Like, not that I was embarrassed to be messing up and people were there. It was just, I think everyone, because they were all in bands too, they're like, I've been there. Like, you're going to get it and it's going to sound really rad.
Yeah.
So I remember that being a cool moment for me.
That's so wholesome.
Yeah, that's
I love
very
that.
wholesome.
So picture this: you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Oh, it depends what I'm in the mood for. I'd probably get a bag of chips. What kind of chips, you ask? It depends what they got on the shelves. I think the best chip that I ever had in my life was a baked Dorito. Remember when they did like all the baked chips?
I think I remember that. Yeah.
It was crazy. But I like plain Lay's. I like Doritos. If I'm thirsty, I'll get like a big thing of iced tea. Unless I want to go to sleep because it has caffeine in it, kids. Or if I'm really feeling it, I'll get a really big bag of some sort of candy. Got a little sweet tooth.
Ooh.
Actually,
what
I'm sorry.
type of candy? Oh.
And any candy, something chewy, maybe like a Sour Patch, one of those big bags of Sour Patch or Skittles. I don't know why I forgot about this. You could scratch everything. Delete. Okay. You could actually delete what I was saying if you want to edit this later. I'm joking.
Like that. That's not.
I love ices.
Oh, okay.
In fact, like sometimes on my way home from work, I will pull into a Wawa and treat myself to an icy because I'm feeling it.
As you should.
Yeah, so I'll get the biggest icy you can get because like you'll get a small and they'll be like it's like 9 cents to get the next thing. So you just may as well do it.
Mhm.
And I'll icy it up.
All right.
That's perfect.
I respect
Sounds
it.
good. Mhm. So on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be?
Jeez.
It's a great question.
I don't know. It's tricky. Our drummer David, he can't eat pork. And that's tricky sometimes. It's funny. Okay, how about this?
Mhm.
Ready?
Ready.
I'll tell you what kind of dish it would be.
Mhm.
It would be a dish that you found at a Golden Corral
Oh,
because it's a buffet. And you put anything that you like on there.
okay. So just all of Golden Corral.
Not Golden Corral specifically. I've never been. I've heard very bad things.
Yeah,
But think of like that was the only brand name cafe I could think of.
yeah, just like a high
Or
quality
buffet.
buffet. Yeah.
Like at a hotel or something.
There you go.
A hotel's continental breakfast.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I like that a lot.
I'll be the little blueberry muffin that they got.
Mhm.
And then Eric, our bass player, he could be the strips of bacon.
Mhm.
Even though David can't have bacon. David could be the scrambled eggs because he's a wild card. You don't know if they're going to be too runny or just right.
Yeah.
And then Jake loves coffee, so he'll be your glass of coffee.
All right.
Cup of coffee.
That's perfect.
I like this.
Thank you.
Way better than Golden Corral.
Yeah.
So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift away from music. So if you could be one animal for the rest of your life, what animal would you be and why?
I'll tell you my favorite animal is a penguin. I'm not sure I would want to live somewhere cold though. Ooh, maybe I'll be one of those South African penguins.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not cold there.
No.
And you can be a penguin. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, penguins are pretty cool, I think.
They are.
They are. We love penguins here.
So true.
Nice.
So if you could have lunch with any celebrity or artist, dead or alive, who would you have lunch with?
Well, that's something I think about a lot because a lot of people will ask you that in your life. And it always changes. I think right now at this moment, I'd probably say like Norm Macdonald. I don't know if you guys are familiar. I don't know how old you are, but Norm Macdonald.
Young.
Yeah. Who is that?
He's a stand-up comedian, one of the best to ever do it. He recently passed away unexpectedly. Yeah, he had cancer for the last 10 years and told nobody, like not even even his family. But everyone had said like when he passed away, like do yourselves a favor and like go on YouTube and look up like anytime he's been on a late night talk show or any of his sets. And I would have to recommend that for y'all. He was spectacular. He was my favorite, and then he passed away, and of course he still is my favorite. But at this moment in time, I'd say I'd love to grab a bite with Norm.
All right.
That's good. That's awesome.
So for this last question, boom, you're on a desert island. You can bring one movie, one person, and one album. Who and what are you bringing?
So easy. Movie. Favorite movie of all time. Big Fat wait. Favorite movie of all time. The 2002 summer blockbuster hit starring Frankie Muniz, Amanda Bynes, and Paul Giamatti. Big Fat Liar. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about because you guys are so young and youthful, look it up. It's my favorite movie of all time. In my career, I'm like a video producer, and I swear to God, that was the movie that made me realize that I wanted to do that.
Aww.
As a career.
Right.
That's amazing.
Well, if you saw the movie, you'd be like, what is this guy talking about?
I kind of got that from the title.
All right, so that's my movie. My person, I will say my wonderful partner. She's the bee's knees. Shouts
Aw.
out to her.
Mhm.
And then album, probably a Yellow Card album. My favorite one, When You're Through Thinking, Say Yes. Again, for you young people. Came out in 2011. You're not that young. But check it out. I think people think about Yellow Card and they're like, oh yeah, Ocean Avenue. But like, no. Think about like 10 years later, they're grown adults and they're writing like actual music. It's sick.
So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
I'm sure if people are listening, they know about the album Here Be Electric Joy that's out. We made a really cool music video for it called Bill Murray, where we recreated every Bill Murray movie we could think of. Yeah, go check it out, Shane. It's pretty cool.
All right.
And then would it be weird if I plugged my podcast on here?
Go for it.
People have done it before.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'll say this. We were on your guys' podcast and we were like, that's really fun. We have friends who are in bands. It'd be cool if we did that. And so we did it. So thank you for helping inspire that. Our podcast is me and my bassist, Eric. It's called Soundtown. And we like to have bands on, usually people that we know, because it's kind of an easy way for us to catch up selfishly. Yeah. But also, you know, it's cool to get into other people's creative mechanics and how they go about writing a song and organizing a band practice. And it's a platform for sharing ideas and promoting each other's art. So it's been fun.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Well, thank you for Snap. That's been Russ from Shark Club, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.